Hello and welcome to Conversations That Connect. We are your hosts Suki and Tailor.
Join us as we explore the IT, digital, accounting and finance recruitment industry and dive into the factors shaping our careers and life.
Get ready for engaging discussions that bridge work, life and really everything in between.
Grab your headphones, sit back and let's explore the connections that drive success.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
We really, the reason for this is we're getting a lot of people connecting and talking to us about starting new roles next year. So it's really then, okay, in this time that you have the break between Christmas and New Year when people close, use that break wisely because the LinkedIn profiles and Seek profiles are really important. And just what you put on there, because that can be a little bit tricky as well.
100%.
So, and Taylor, just recently, you've done a big presentation for a security group here on the sunny coast, and it was the talk was around that, just making sure that your details are correct so that you can be seen.
Yeah, 100%. And the main topic was in regards to Seek profiles and LinkedIn profiles, but also how to utilize them to be seen in the market, because the market is, I don't want to say it's flooded, but there's a lot of people in the market currently. And I mentioned before, well, I think we've mentioned this on another episode, that there's 30% more applicants per job postings on Seek. So it is more important now than it probably ever has been to make sure that your LinkedIn and Seek profiles are at the level where you are getting seen and you are getting people reach out to you rather than you reaching out to the company.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like you want recruiters to come to you for jobs.
Correct.
But you also do need to do the hard work to get
You've got the
job.
streams that you run that you can basically automate, and they can just run in the background for you.
Yeah.
And the streams really are reaching out to your own network, connecting with people there.
Yeah.
That's an active one. And then applying for roles on Seek, that's an active one. But the passive ones that can just run in the background is your Seek profile, because we go look for your resume and your suitability for a role, and LinkedIn is the same. So really those are the two passive streams that you can just automate. The other ones are pretty active and you've got to put in the time and the effort continuously. I had a call yesterday when I spoke with a candidate that's finishing up a contract, and she said to me, I've got my LinkedIn profile updated. And I said, what about your Seek profile? And she's like, do people still use Seek? Like, is that still a thing? That was a really interesting comment for me, because I've never thought that it's not a thing. And once I explained to her, she thought a lot of the recruitment is being done through LinkedIn. So as long as her LinkedIn profile is up to date, she's got it covered, which is true to an extent. But Seek is still very much a platform that's being used. So once I explained to her how the four streams just run next to each other, she was like, of course, I'll do a Seek profile. And we've spoken about how to do your Seek profile to make sure that you've got the right details, make sure you've got the right CV on there. But that was an interesting comment from a candidate, which I wanted to mention here this morning to say, don't forget about Seek. It's still very relevant and still very active, because that's a database that we use.
I'm on there on a daily looking for people.
Correct.
Senior accountant, shout out on the sunny coast. If you're there looking for jobs, come see me. We use it on a daily basis for hours on end. It's like an unlimited resource of candidates, basically.
Correct.
Yeah, and people who aren't on LinkedIn are more likely to be on Seek, and then vice versa. Like most people who are on LinkedIn are usually on Seek as well, but you do get the odd you're on one or the other, not both.
Yes. And that's just another touch point that you would have for somebody to reach out. Now, the other question that was asked was, this candidate had her experience. She's a senior candidate, and had experience in quite a few areas, relevant areas, but just slightly different. So she could apply for, let's say, for instance, project management roles. She could also apply for business analyst roles. She could also apply for change management roles. So there's a bit of an angle to all the areas that she can apply for. And her question was, what do I put on Seek? What CV do I put on Seek? And what's the profiling that I put on LinkedIn? Which is a really great question, because you can only put one profile and one resume on Seek. I don't think there's a one answer that fits the whole thing, but I think the one that covers most is try and put your general CV that covers change management, project management, and business analysis on Seek, and mirror that one on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you can put in your title the roles that you've either done or that you're interested in. So it does give the reader a bit of a direction as to what you're interested in. Seek does not do that necessarily, but you can do that on your resume. Under your name, you can say project management, program management, change management, or whatever, so that if we're looking for a change manager, that your details at least come up in our search.
Yeah. But also with that, utilizing the skills section too on both Seek and LinkedIn.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
On
So that's
Seek,
part
you
of
can choose up to 50.
Yeah.
And you don't have to use all 50. Just make sure it's relevant. But that's another big thing that people don't realize, that there is a skills section that you can use those keywords.
Yeah. So you're basically guiding the user, which is us, and the internal recruiters, guiding them to your resume, and you guide them via keywords and the skills drop down, which is a keyword. That's what we search on, keywords, and that's always, doesn't matter if that's Seek or LinkedIn or your resume. Our database Seek, it does not matter. We use keywords to search. So if those keywords aren't in your resume, then you potentially won't come up on the search and won't even be considered. The follow-on to that then is, if you do make a connection via your general resume, when you speak to the recruiter, internal or external, and it's a specific role within project management, say to them, hey, that's my general CV, but I have a resume that's a little bit more focused on the project management work that I've done. Use that resume. Do not put the general resume through for a specific job. Very, very important.
Yeah. 100%.
And when you're applying to a role, do not use your general resume. Use your specific resume. This is just your profile on Seek and LinkedIn. But if you're applying actively, use the resume for that specific role.
Yeah, 100%. Also, just quickly touching on that, say if you're a project manager or something like that, but you've done business analyst over 10 years ago, maybe not give us a business analyst resume, because the only experience will be from 10 years ago. So also keeping in mind of when's the last time you actually performed duties of that specific job, and also in the specific skill set that they're looking for, when's the last time that you performed that specific skill set on that CRM or ERP or things like that, because things do change quite rapidly in the industry. So also just keeping that in mind when you are doing a specific resume for a job.
And also, you're competing with candidates that are currently business analysts. So that's the competition that you have.
Yeah.
So if you're drawing from experience 10 years ago, you're competing against a candidate that's currently doing it. There's no competition there.
Yeah.
Like you will be ruled out immediately. So it's probably play to your strengths.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And if if you say I have the skill set and you get contacted by a recruiter, internal or external, and they ask, where have you done this? And you start referring them to 10 years ago, that's wasting everybody's time. Don't do that. Try and keep as relevant as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another big one that I got a few sort of aha moments with people when I had the talk last week was there's actually an option to turn your visibility on or off on Seek. So make sure that that's switched on. And I don't know what I'm assuming the default setting would be on.
Yes.
But there was a couple that were like, actually, I'm going to check that because I haven't been contacted for anything. And it could just be because they accidentally put their visibility off or something like that. So definitely check their visibility. It's in the settings part on your profile. So that's another big one as well. I think if you fill in every section on your Seek profile, it ranks you higher as well. So just ask what it's doing and you'll rank higher in profile, and keep it updated. If you've got an updated resume or you've started a new job, just keep that updated as well.
Yeah. And the little golden thing that we've spoken about so many times is, as a user of the back end of Seek, we can filter. So once we have our search, sometimes our search has 800 candidates in it. There's no way we can contact 800 candidates. So now you have to take that big search and narrow it down so that you can get the right candidates. So even if you have it down to 50, I have a drop-down option to say, show me who's recently updated their resume, recently, like in today, this week, the last 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. I order it by who's updated today and this week, because that's telling me that you're looking for work, you're active. So what I say to candidates, and we've mentioned this before, once in 2 weeks, once a week, just go update something, change something so that the system picks up there's been activity on your profile, which then bumps you up to say you're active. LinkedIn is easier because you've got the open to work circle that you can advertise that you're looking for work. On Seek, that's almost a way to advertise, hey, I'm actively looking.
Yeah. And it does tag, like we get a little blue tag next to your name that says maybe approachable as well. So if you're actively applying for jobs, it will also tag us like, hey, this person's active in the market. They're more likely to be approachable than some of the others too. So,
and you don't realize, but once you found a job, you don't go into your Seek profile and turn it off. Most people just leave it. So that profile sits there until you use it or when you need it again for the next role. And that could be 12 months. That could be 2 years. So we see all of that. And that's why we filter down to make sure that we're speaking to the candidates that are actively looking, so that the time invested is good time invested. Try and find the right candidates.
100%. I think that's all for Seek.
We wanted to do a bit of a practical. So if 2025 is the year you're going, it's time for a change. It's time to get that next role. This is a little bit more practical. Use the break. I know it sounds boring, but once the new year kicks off and it's January, then it gets put to the back end in the priority list. It just goes down and down and down.
But also don't forget about your LinkedIn profile. I feel like a LinkedIn profile it's like social media for work. Everybody looks at your LinkedIn profile, whether it's updated or not. Like I would say 9.5 times out of 10 probably. If somebody applies for a job, I'll look them up on LinkedIn as well. So with that, make sure it's nice and clean and polished and it has all the right things in there. But also, there's probably 9 key things that you probably should be doing on LinkedIn or have on your LinkedIn profile. And the first one's a photo. Make sure that your profile photo is professional and it's clear. I think having a profile photo does boost your visibility as well. It looks more professional having a photo on there. And I do understand that some people may not want their photo out into the universe, which is fine. But if you are looking to get into those professional roles, maybe consider adding
Yeah,
it.
and LinkedIn, not on a resume, but LinkedIn, that's
Yeah.
sort of the space that you play in on that platform.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when we put candidates forward to clients, we include your LinkedIn profile on
Yeah.
the application. Even if you don't have it in your resume, that's part of our cover letter
Yeah.
to say, here's the LinkedIn profile. And if your LinkedIn profile, like Taylor said, is not up to date, we will get you to make sure it's up to date,
Yeah.
because we refer the client to that. And they go and do their research. So that's
Yeah.
a really important point.
Yeah. And I think the next one would be like a headline. So like you've got your name and then you've got like a headline. So use keywords that like describe sort of your expertise and what you can offer. Or if you're a student, add like what you're passionate about, what you're wanting to do. Yeah, just like a headline that kind of summarizes everything in
Yeah.
a few words.
Yeah.
And
Because that's
then
what we see when we do a LinkedIn
Yeah.
search. We basically see your photo, your name, where you're based, and then the headline. And that's it.
Yeah.
We've got to click into that profile to then see the rest of the details.
Yeah.
But that headline has to entice us to go, okay, I want to explore this further.
100%.
Mm.
Yeah. And then an about me section. I think that's really important as well. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like exactly what's on your resume. Like you can put a little bit of like fun into it. Like
Personality.
who are
Yeah.
you as a person
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like make it engaging, informative, but you can also play around with it a little bit. You can be like yourself on LinkedIn and stuff. And I know that sometimes it's hard to get yourself across on a resume, but LinkedIn's the space where you can, be that little bit more creative and like do what you're passionate about. Who are you as a person?
Mhm.
I think that's important as well, because again, that kind of paints a picture too. And then a lot of people don't utilize the skills section on LinkedIn either. So a top skills section is really important. So that comes under the about me section. So bang straight away, we see photo, headline, about me, and skills section.
Yep.
So you can select 5 of those. So if you're a business analyst, project manager, if you're, I don't know what's on mine, IT recruitment, that sort of space, utilize that. But then the other feature that not many people utilize is a featured section. So if you have like portfolio links or samples or articles that you've written into or contributed or been featured in, you can actually tag them as featured. And again, it just elevates your profile that one more, because they can see the good stuff, really.
Yeah. And it's really about painting the picture and creating a feeling with your profile on LinkedIn. And yes, there is boundaries, but the boundaries, like Taylor said, is a little bit wider, where you can get a bit of personality across as well. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
Great.
Education as well. List all your relevant certificates, not all of them. I don't need to know
you
that
were
you
trying champion and the scouts in 2016 or no.
Exactly. Or like you did a barista course back in the 90s. Like we don't need to see just the relevant courses. I know LinkedIn, their courses as well. I think that shows, especially if you are new to getting into an industry, I think it does show that you are willing to do the things outside of work too. So only if it's relevant. And then again, it's just like your experience. So same as your resume, you really need to make sure that your resume, Seek profile, and LinkedIn profile, the work experience all matches up. So if one's totally not the same as the other, it then starts to think like, okay, red flag.
Why?
Yeah, why? Why isn't it the same? What's happened? He's got this place here, but not this place there, and that doesn't exist. And
Yeah.
so just make sure that's all streamlined as well. Again, utilize the skills section in there as well. You can select the skills, or you can do like a short summary. Just a really short one. We don't need everything that's on there too. And another one two more really. Recommendations. You can actually request testimonials from leaders or other people in the field, or people that you've worked with, colleagues, things like that. So you can recommend that, and then they can also endorse your skill section as well. I mean, it's just a little thing, but it might make all the difference. Like it could be between you and somebody else, and they might check that you've had really good recommendations or things like that. And again, it just elevates your profile too. And then the last one is just how to like utilize the network. Start connecting with people, start interacting with people, comment, create your own posts. It's kind of like a professional personal brand that we're trying to make. And that professional brand could get recruiters like us knocking on the door, being like, hey, we've seen that you've been putting up some really great stuff. Let's have a chat, or something like that. So use LinkedIn as like a personal brand. You can have a little bit more fun, but still keep it quite professional, but you can show off a little bit more of your personality through there.
Yeah, those are all great things. So hopefully that inspires, or not inspire, that's not the right word. Who's inspired to do a profile on LinkedIn? That's not inspiring. But hopefully that creates that the mountain is not such a big mountain. It's a hill. And once you've done that, you can literally set and forget, except by just updating every so often just to have that activity on your account. But it can run in the background for you. And it's definitely two platforms that we use on a daily basis.
100%. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of other people who utilize it as well. And
correct.
I think in today's day and age, you need to have a LinkedIn profile.
Yes.
If you're in that professional space, you do need to have one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So bring on 2025.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm actually really excited. This year's been good, but I'm feeling really good going into 2025. And I think with the market picking up, and I think the market's going to be really good next year. I think there's going to be a lot of good opportunities. So if that's not your sign to go out and update things, I don't know what else is. Maybe I'll come knocking on your door next year. Who knows?
Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Conversations That Connect.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.
Connect with us on social media at Montague Group on LinkedIn and Facebook. And please feel free to drop us a line with any topics you would like us to discuss, and of course, any questions that you do have.
Until next time, guys, stay curious and stay connected.